Welcome to another episode of Taboo Talks, a body electric conversation series where we talk all things taboo. Whether it's the intersection between religion and spirituality, intergenerational relationships, fetishes, kink, or today, sex toys, this is your pit stop for Taboo Talk. I'm here joined with our usual suspects, Tom Kovac, and Orinda. Orinda, it's funny, I don't even know your last name. I feel embarrassed to say that right now.
It's Huxum.
Yeah.
Huxum.
Huxtable, thank you. I knew that. Thank you for the reminder. So today's topic, just like the others, is a juicy one. We're going to talk about sex toys, and what prompted this particular conversation is an experience that I had recently, and it's perfectly timed because we have a workshop called Sex Toy Sunday coming up very soon. So I have been dabbling with sex toys as of late. My partner, my former partner, he was my partner at the time, had gifted me this bag of toys, and he chose not to use them, not really into bottoming himself, but I was intrigued, and they sat for a while and collected dust, to be honest. And then at some point, I decided that I was going to begin to experiment with them because I was really keen to connect to my body in new ways. And so I started playing with these toys on occasion, and there was one in particular, and I like to call it the boyfriend size vibrator because it's just the right size. Like, it's not too big, it's not too small, and it really does the trick. And so recently I dipped into that bag of toys again. There's another toy in particular that I had to kind of work my way up to. And it's this big glow in the dark dildo. And it's quite large. It's quite large in my experience. And I, for whatever reason, decided that I was going to experiment with this toy. Now, what I didn't anticipate was what I would regard as like this sexual awakening. The experience I had was that there was this enthusiasm around being able to, let's say, conquer this toy. Right. And this threshold of discomfort followed by like significant pleasure. And what I noticed as well is how this experience I was having mirrored life in a way. These thresholds we come up against in life that feel so big and so potent, followed by this period of like, and then just big pleasure. And so I what I'm noticing now is this desire to like lean in more and more and more to these expansive experiences, that are preceded by resistance, by challenge. So on that note, I'm curious. And let me just say one more thing. I've noticed this, like, to repeat myself slightly, this enthusiasm around playing with toys more and more now. What's your take on toys, y'all? Like, I'm curious. What is your take? And I know that's maybe a loaded question, but what's your take on toys, and what is your relationship to sex toys?
I think I got my first vibrator at 19. So, and I actually won it in a club. It was being thrown out, and I caught it when I was on the dance floor. I had no idea what it was or what it was for. And gotta say, I've been pretty much a fan since. So that's more than 40 years ago. Yeah, no, they're pretty much mandatory. So,
Is
Tom?
there one in particular that's like a favorite of yours, and if so, why?
Yeah, I think is there a favorite? No, they do different things. So they different things, different ones do different things. I don't have a huge collection of them, but I've got about four of them that play back and forth with. So yeah, no favorite.
I love that. Yeah, and on that note, it's so interesting. So I have this. There's one toy in particular that it is kind of fun. It's got these like little bulbs in like increasing size, and it's fascinating. The stimulation, the sensation of this toy. It's anyway. If you don't have one, pick one up. It'll blow your mind and your
Bang on
and your
balls.
butt. Yeah. Tom, what did you say, Tom?
Benoit balls, that's what those are called.
Is that what those are? Okay, I'm learning. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I always thought the Benoit balls were the brass ones.
Well, they can be kind of like in a
They're
series and different sizes or the same size, and this is kind of like a slowly pulling at one at a time and letting you adjust and pull out another. Yeah.
So, Tom, what sort of toys are you playing with, and what's your go-to?
Well, to me, toys are kind of like, for me, like music because it depends on my mood. One of my favorites is called the Violet Wand, and it gives electrical stimulation. You can actually, it's like a glass tube that is plugged in to the wall, and when you get it close to the skin, it actually puts a little arc of electricity between the end of it and your whatever skin you're over. And depending on, there are different attachments that can broaden that experience or narrow it, which has different sensations. And I really enjoy that. But I was introduced to the concept of pervertibles, which is everyday objects that you have in your house that you can turn into a sex toy of some kind or another. And that can be, like a pastry wheel is exquisite if you slowly roll that over the skin. And it could be a candle, a candle play can be a lot of fun. So yeah, just a lot of different options. It all depends on where I'm at the time and who I'm with.
In other words, sex toys are everywhere.
I want to say that the violet wand is not actually allowed up here in Canada. It's like not you're not allowed to bring it up across the border. You're not allowed to sell it here. But we have the Doctor Ho, which is an EMS, and you can smack that on some pretty good places too. Now it doesn't create the
What
art,
is that?
the electrical muscle stimulation, so it's slightly different, but quite fun to play with. I've stuck those on the cheeks of my butt a few times.
Yeah,
Wow.
a lot of chiropractors use that electrical muscle stimulation. So like if
Yeah.
your muscle is tense or something, they'll hook it up to this machine that kind of gives it gentle on and off, and it sends the message to the muscle to relax. But it can be used for play too. Yeah.
What's one of the most unconventional things you've used to create pleasure or sexual exploration?
I don't think this is unconventional, but it's definitely not a sex toy, but just running water. Just running water.
Say more?
I think most women have played with a shower head or even the one
Yeah,
coming out of the spout in the bathtub
me
or
too,
the
actually.
jet in the hot tub. These are all things that we've played with, I would think.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you bring that up too, because I feel like for many of us, some of our first experiences of this kind of pleasure or stimulation happen, in the shower, in the bathtub, in the hot tub. I can remember, some of my own experiences. I'm like, whoa, like, okay, I'm gonna hang out over here for a little bit. Something's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And Tom, what about yourself? Yeah.
I was getting a massage from a friend who proceeded to secure me to the massage table and then run a ice cube all over me. That was quite the stimulation. So yeah, it can be
Yeah.
very simple things that can be very intentional and bringing a lot of pleasure.
Love that. I love that. And for those of you who are watching and listening right now, as mentioned previously, we have an upcoming workshop. It's an online workshop, Sex Toy Sunday. So if you are interested in continuing this conversation and venturing into some of your own exploration with sex toys, you can head over to www.bodyelectric.org. And under our workshops page, you will find our upcoming workshops. Any final thoughts? Any final words, y'all?
Just want to give a plug for Kim that she's so much fun and she's been doing sex toys or being involved with sex toys for 30 years and she knows her stuff. Unlike me where I'm figuring it out, but she knows her stuff.
Yeah, we got to see Kim do this at the 40th anniversary gala, and she put on a little hour taking you through all these different sex stories that she brought. And she made it so much fun, and that I had this idea of bringing her on. So she'll be on once a quarter, and she's full of energy, and she's just one of those people that make you want to laugh all the time, even though you're talking about sex toys. So it can be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And we're looking forward to seeing you all there. Thank you for joining us for another episode Mwah.